Hey, what's up? Thanks for joining the channel today, and I wanted to walk you through a few things that maybe you're new to sawmilling, or maybe you're new to getting your own logs and you're kind of wondering, okay, I want to hire somebody who's got a mobile milling service to come mill up some logs for me. I've got about, right now, and I can show you a picture, I've got like 20 something logs that I want to get milled. I have my own sawmill, but I just don't have, like, it's a chainsaw mill, and so I really focus on doing big stuff. But honestly, right now, I don't have time with my job and the business that I'm running to mill this stuff up. It's not very efficient and wise use of my time. So I am paying somebody to come mill up these logs for me, and some of it I'm going to keep for my own personal use, some I'm going to keep for my business, and then some of it I'm going to just turn and sell and flip and try to give somebody a really good deal on whether it's Facebook or Craigslist or whatever. So things to think about when you're hiring a mill is, one, a couple questions that I ask. I wanted to know, how long have they been milling? You take a risk. Do I want to take a risk on someone who's kind of new and not very experienced, but maybe I'm going to get a cheaper price for them? Or am I milling, calling someone in who's probably going to be maybe a little more expensive, but they've got experience? And that's just another thing to think through, of like asking some questions. How many times have they done this? Is this their first time? Because how efficient they're going to be as well is really determines on their experience. Someone who's been doing this for a while is going to be very efficient, and though they might have maybe a higher price per hour, they're able to shell out a lot of logs and wood versus somebody who might be new, who might be a little cheaper, but it's going to take them a lot longer. So you want to think about, ask about their experience. Another thing you just want to kind of ask is, what is their rate? Normally, they're going to have a rate about a travel fee, depending on how far you are from them. There's a good chance that they're going to have a setup fee if there's a mobile mill. That's just common. Don't be shocked when they're like, oh, it's a $100 setup fee and then X amount of dollars per hour. That's just pretty common. You got to think, they're a business. They got to pay for gas. They got to pay for travel. So they're normally going to ask, I'd ask, what's their travel fee or setup fee? And then you got to ask them, what is your hourly rate? Some people do an hourly rate. Some people do a board footage rate. I have both taken logs to mills, and I have a couple mills that I utilize, and it just depends on what I am doing. There are some guys who they do a board footage rate, and for me, it's cheaper to go through them because it's going to take longer, and so it's not about the time, because maybe I'm doing specific types of cut like quarter sawing and rift sawing that might take longer. Or am I going to someone where they're not charging me by the board foot? I've got a lot of board footage, but they can, if I'm wanting it slabbed or cut up really quickly, they can do that. And so you got to weigh those out. But those are things, asking how much do they charge per board foot, or what is the hourly rate? And honestly, it just ranges. It can be anywhere from $75 to $150 per hour, is at least what I have found in my area in Arkansas. And that's pretty common, like in the central Arkansas area. So I'm not shocked by those numbers. Some people might be thinking, that's a lot of money per hour. That's just pretty common. I've got a great mill that I'll go to that they charge $150 per hour. I've got to take my stuff to them, but they do a really good job, and they specialize in stuff. So those are just things to think about. What is their hourly rate? The other thing I would ask is, asking them, do they quarter saw? If you're wanting it quarter sawn, do they, have that? Do they have an experience with that? And how do they go about their process? There are processes online. I'm not going to explain to you how to quarter saw or rift saw, but just ask them some questions, what their experience is with. Another thing is, I try to update them on what type of wood that I'm going to be cutting. So the guy that is going to be doing this for me, I just went ahead and updated him and told him, hey, I want these logs quarter sawn. I want these logs rift sawn. I've got some of this stuff I want flat sawn. So those are things to maybe tell them on what types of woods that you are going to be using, because they can kind of tell you and maybe give you an estimate on how much they think that it's going to be. Also, are you going to be helping them? It'll speed up the process if you're going to be available to help them. Now, you need to follow within their boundaries and rules that they have, because a bandsaw is it's dangerous. A saw can cut somebody, or you can get hurt moving this stuff if you're not listening to them and operating in their realm of how they like to operate. So always respect them in that. Another thing to think about is asking the question is, do they have like a hydraulic lift to get the logs on their saw, or is it a manual thing? Because again, thinking that's going to take time as well. And that's, if they can if they have a hydraulic lift, it gets logs up there faster. So you need to be thinking in your mind, hey, I need to get them in a spot that's set up where the log is easily accessible. Logs are easily accessible and they can get to it quickly. And if you can do that, man, that allows them to keep moving and keep rolling. And again, when you're getting stuff milled up, don't be so this impatient where you're just watching your time all the time, like rushing them. Good things take time, and I haven't met a sawyer that's out there that's just trying to like ramrod me and like dilly-dally and not do their job. No, they want to do this efficiently because they want to have a good reputation and they want you to reference them to other people. So, but having your stuff set up or being available to have yourself or somebody else helping them unload and stack it and move stuff out of the way, so if you do have several logs, they can get the other one on the sawmill and keep going. If it's a manual sawmill where you have to manually crank it up with a hand winch or roll it up onto it, that's going to take a little more time, and so just be prepared for that. Do you have a cant hook to be able to do that to help them? Do you have, are your logs easily accessible to move on there? Can their sawmill hold the weight of the log that you're going to do? That's another thing. You need to update them on how long are your logs, how wide are your logs, because you might be hiring somebody thinking that they can cut a 38-inch wide log and you're wanting 38-inch or 40-inch slabs, 40-inch wide, and their mill can only handle a capacity of like 28 inches. So those are things you need to think about as well. When you're hiring somebody and asking them to come mill for you, be respectful to those people. Like, you want to build a great relationship with them, especially if you're going to be doing this in the future. But also, don't have unrealistic expectations to them. Have them a place where they can mill. Ask them those questions like, hey, what do you need set up prior to me coming? The more that you can be prepared, the better they're going to be work more efficiently, and you're going to be able to get more bang for your buck out of them. Also, don't be surprised if you have yard trees. There's a good chance that your tree has metal in it, and there's going to be a fee if every time they run a cut through and hit metal. There's also a fee if you break a blade, so don't be shocked by that. That's pretty normal and standard for somebody charging you to mill something for you, or at least what I've learned in my experience of having stuff milled up for me. As well. A couple things that I try to have also available. I already try to have my stacking area prepared just so that I can stack my wood more quickly. I already have all my stickers cut. That way I'm able to take my wood from the mill and go ahead and get it in an area where later that day or pretty quickly I can stack it again so I can get the best yield out of my lumber. And then think through like how to clean up afterwards. Where are you getting this cut? Are you getting it cut on your street? Are you getting it cut in a yard? Like, those are other things to think about. But hopefully that's helpful for you as you like reach out to a mill. Also, kind of know what sizes you want things cut, and they talk in quarters. So like 4/4, 6/4, 5/4, 8/4. Communicate those things. All that is thinking about inches. So 4/4 is 1 inch, 5/4 is 1.5 inches, and so on. You can read more or listen to more about that explained on the internet. But have some of those things prepared. The more prepared and thought through that you are, that allows them, if they do have adjustments they need to make, you can communicate those on the spot, and you're not spending time trying to think through, what do I want to do with this? No, kind of prepare. Say, I want to try to get X amount of 8/4, X amount of 4/4 out of this stuff. Also, when you're cutting, I always remind my people, I want it cut a little heavy, because heavy cut allows me to dry it and then get it to where I want it. So if I want 1-inch boards, I usually cut them at somewhere probably 1.25 inches to 1 3/8 inches. That allows me to, again, get them down to 1 inch after drying and milling and all of that. Anyways, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, comments, or things that I left out, man, drop them below. And until next time, hey, get out there, keep woodworking, keep sawmilling, keep creating, and keep chasing your dreams.